Good, good afternoon and welcome to session 8. We'll be starting this session shortly. And as a reminder, all 8 sessions are recorded and will be posted on our website. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining session 8, the future of the Everglades, and some closing remarks. You'll notice that the chat is not open for this session. We will be answering all questions on Q&A. You'll notice there is a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and you can ask all questions in that box. Welcome to all who are logging in just now. You have joined session 8, the future of the Everglades, in closing remarks. My name is Jennifer Diaz, the Vice President of Education for the Everglades Foundation. So happy you could all make it. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Just some house cleaning tools, webinar guidelines. If you have any questions or feedback throughout the presentation, please share them in the Q&A feature. We will answer questions at the end of this presentation. Please note again that all sessions in the Teacher Symposium will be recorded and available to you. Continue to stay connected with us and share your excitement about the symposium by following and tagging us on social media using the handles you see on your screen. Make sure to include Everglades Literacy, Get Your Feet Wet, and Take the First Step hashtags as well. Today, we are joined by the President and CEO of the Everglades Foundation to share with us some incredible successes for restoration and the future of the Everglades. Eric Eikenberg is a seasoned political strategist and environmental policy expert. As a CEO, Eric Eikenberg oversees a team of nationally recognized scientists, educators, lobbyists, and communications and development professionals. These esteemed colleagues work together to achieve decades-long campaign to restore America's Everglades, roughly 3 million acres of endangered habitat that is vital to Florida's economic and environmental sustainability. Eric was named one of Florida's most influential people in Florida politics by Influence magazine for his advocacy work. In 2020 and 2019, he was named one of Florida's 500 most influential business leaders in Florida's Trend. And he was recognized by South Florida Business and Wealth magazine with the 2019 Apogee Award for his leadership in the nonprofit sector. Furthermore, he was selected to the 2019 panel of 50 influential Floridians as part of an initiative led by the Miami Herald, El Nuevo Herald, and the Bradenton Herald to address pressing statewide issues like the environment, climate change, healthcare, and transportation. Eric, welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a delight to be with you here in the final session of the 4th annual Teacher Symposium. We certainly wish we were all together in person as we've done in the past, but fingers crossed that we can be back together again next summer as we celebrate 5 years of this incredible event. I want to thank each of you that have taken time out of your summer over these this last day and a half to hear some exceptional sessions. I did tune into a few this morning and to hear the cutting edge information and opportunities that are available to you as teachers and to your students as you approach this upcoming school year. I want to thank all of you who are our teachers as you zoom into this symposium here this afternoon. You all have battled through a very difficult year this past year within our schools as it pertains to the pandemic. And I wish each of you all the best as you prepare for the upcoming school year and the grades that you teach, the children that you're going to influence, the children that you mentor. You do tremendous work. And on behalf of Carlos de la Cruz, our chairman, our entire board and staff, we salute all of you teachers, those of you that are with us today and those that are not. You're leaders in our state, and we're grateful to each and every one of you. I also want to take a moment to thank the Everglades Foundation's education team, Jennifer Diaz, who has led this department now for a number of years and has built it to where it is the preeminent voice for Everglades education. As you know, we're in 24 school districts around Florida and continuing to grow. But she's not doing it by herself. It's certainly a tremendous team. You've heard from Bianca and Kim, Alicia, Susan. These are talented women who are dedicated to ensuring that all children here in Florida are Everglades literate. Wherever they may come from, whatever school they may attend, it is vitally important as our children move through their education process and as they head towards college and becoming active citizens here in society, that they understand the importance of conservation. They understand the importance of this national treasure right here in our own backyard. And it's what you're doing. It's this program, this curriculum that was built by teachers for teachers. And again, it's having a tremendous impact. I join you this afternoon with great optimism. We see tremendous success and momentum across Florida as it pertains to the Everglades. When Jennifer asked to participate here in the 4th annual symposium and to talk about the future of the Everglades, the future is bright. And as we move through this decade, it is going to be a decade for the Everglades. It's an important decade. I love history. I love presidential history. And I want to take us back to December of 2000, where the President of the United States was looking to really make an impact on changing the way the Everglades operates. And this photograph that you see here on your screen was a momentous day. It was a historic day when the President of the United States signed the comprehensive Everglades restoration plan, a roadmap that we continue to work on and work from today. And you see the men and women that are standing there behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office, members of Congress, the governor of Florida standing there, our own Mary Barley just to the president's to the right of the president there, being able to rejoice in a historic time when legislation was signed to create the largest environmental restoration plan in the history of the world, bringing Republicans and Democrats together, a truly bipartisan approach to restoring this national treasure. And as we've moved through these last couple of decades, as we now head into this third, this is a unifying one. This is a unifying issue for our state, for our country, and at a time when we're desperate for unifying issues, we're delighted to be able to be working on an issue that brings the parties together, brings all folks of all walks of life here in Florida together, because it's truly all about our water. It's about our future, and it's about restoring and protecting America's Everglades. Jennifer had a screen prior that shows the way water is currently managed here in the state of Florida. You might have observed this graphic in the past. That the shot of the peninsula there on the left is the way we manage water today. And this is after decades of damming and diking and cutting off the natural flow of water, where it would just start moving just south of Orlando. As we know, Shingle Creek is the headwaters of the Everglades, water moving south through the Kissimmee River, the Kissimmee water basin there, all the way to Lake Okeechobee, and then naturally overflowing the lake through the river of grass that Marjorie Stoneman Douglas eloquently wrote about, and all the way down to Florida Bay and the Florida Keys. But over time, we've changed the system. We've changed the landscape of the Everglades. Something that you all very much are aware of. You're teaching in the classroom. That graphic on the left is the challenges that we face today. When water fills in Lake Okeechobee, the option today, based on the fact that restoration is not yet a reality, the gates are opened on the east and west coasts of the east and west side of the lake, and both coasts, the coastal communities here in Florida, are ravaged by billions of gallons of fresh water, volume that they cannot sustain. And to add insult to injury, that water is polluted. It's polluted with high nutrients, phosphorus and nitrogen. And as we see when we have blue-green algae in Lake Okeechobee, it adversely affects the local economy, the environment of those local communities, but also it's a threat to human health, and one that the administration here in Florida is working to resolve. So we're concerned about the way water is managed, but the good news is there's a plan, as I mentioned, a plan that's been in place now for over 20 years. And the whole idea of Everglades restoration is to ensure that these projects are built, are completed, these infrastructure projects, these massive projects, so that we can have a restored flow. And that graphic shows water flowing more naturally to the south. And it takes money. It takes considerable amounts of money to build these projects. And this graphic that you see here on the screen shows the funding that's occurred both from Washington and from the state of Florida since President Clinton signed the comprehensive plan. And now this spans, we're on our 5th administration in Washington that is responsible for the 50% share of Everglades restoration. And I want to highlight to the far right there that yellow, that reddish box that shows a $2.9 billion need over the next 4 years. And the good news is the state of Florida has stepped up in a tremendous way. We voted back in 2014, 75% of us voted in favor of what's known as Amendment 1, to take a portion of real estate tax dollars, place it into a trust fund, and then use that money for Everglades restoration, for the comprehensive Everglades projects that are in the plan, and to get those projects built as quickly as possible. But we need Washington to step up. And under Governor DeSantis, we've seen record funding coming out of Tallahassee, but we need it as well in Washington. So we're working with the White House. We're working with members of Congress to ensure that the projects that you see here, these red demarcations on the map, these are congressionally authorized projects that Republicans and Democrats have voted for in Washington. They are approved, and what they need is money. They need funding to build. And the good news is there's a number of them that are underway, getting close to being completed. You see on the East Coast there, the C44 Reservoir, named after the canal, but that's the St. Lucie estuary heading out to Stewart, south to the Jupiter Inlet. On the West Coast, the C43 Reservoir is along the Caloosahatchee estuary. That project is moving along. There's a project in eastern Collier County that is showing great success of flowing water south to the 10,000 Islands and down into Florida Bay, the Picayune Strand, a busted development project that was conceived back in the 60s or 70s. The state of Florida and the federal government, understanding the impact that development would have in eastern Collier County, bought out that property, the Picayune Strand. Homes were never built. They certainly had some roads that went through there, but the good news is these massive pump stations are moving water through the Picayune Strand, south of Tamiami Trail, and again, down towards the 10,000 Islands. We have projects on the East Coast here in Miami-Dade County that are rehydrating mangroves along the coast, let alone the Everglades Reservoir that is south of the lake that I'll speak to here in a moment. But I wanted to point this out, that these projects here demonstrate the momentum. They demonstrate that communities across the 16-county South Florida Water Management District have rallied to say, we need restoration now. We cannot wait any longer. We launched a campaign a couple years back called Now or Never Everglades, and we took that message across Florida to ensure that people understood the importance of the work that we're doing. And it's not just a bunch of environmentalists that are leading this. What we're most proud of is the diverse group of people that have stepped forward to say we need to preserve what's here in our own state. And I'm talking about chambers of commerce, small business owners, realtors, anglers, boat manufacturers, those that work in the tourism and hospitality industry, knowing that our success economically here in Florida is entwined with our water. It all depends on an abundant supply of clean, fresh water, our beaches, our springs, but our Everglades is critically linked to the economic vitality of our state. And when we see man-made disasters as it pertains to blue-green algae and nutrient pollution in Lake Okeechobee, we can solve that. We know we need to solve those issues. But when they have those impacts on tourism and hospitality, real estate, it has an adverse impact, and it's something that we need to solve. And I'll say, just on the real estate side, I want to salute our friends at the Realtors Association. Realtors across Florida have stepped up in a big way, because they know that real estate cannot be transacted when we have these water quality issues. But to have realtors and business owners going to Tallahassee and the Washington, making their voices heard, we need teachers to do the same. And as you learn more about these issues, and if you're willing to let your voice be heard as a citizen here in the state of Florida, our elected officials at all levels of government need to hear from you. You're passing this knowledge on to the next generation, but you also have a responsibility to let your voice be known, that we have to solve this issue. This generation in this decade needs to step forward in a big way, and let's do it together. So these are the SERP comprehensive plan authorized projects. I want to just show you a couple photographs of where this is working. This is a Google Earth view from a few years ago, but it's still pertinent. This is the Kissimmee River north of Lake Okeechobee. There's going to be a big event next week highlighting the final completion, the final phase of the Kissimmee River restoration. The natural river is back. The meandering Kissimmee is back. This is a clear demonstration that restoration works. All this effort that we're putting into it pays off, and the wading bird population in particular has returned in great numbers. So we were able to highlight the Kissimmee as yes, it might have taken longer than some envisioned, but be that as it may, it's completed now, and we're seeing the return on that investment. We need to ensure that examples like this demonstrate that we can't let up. We can't take our foot off the gas. We need restoration to happen as quickly as possible. We're grateful that the Kissimmee is now fully restored, and be on the lookout for a nice event next week where that'll be highlighted. The next photograph shows the south. Those of you in the Miami-Dade, Collier County area, this is US 41, Tamiami Trail. Isn't this a beautiful bridge? I say these are the most beautiful bridges east of the Mississippi because they're making an impact on flowing water south. This idea of sending water south, it cannot happen unless you pull the plug in the tub. And the water was pooling up in the southern part of the peninsula due to US 41, due to Calle Ocho, 8th Street, that was placed there in the late 1920s. And that strip of asphalt decapitated the way water flowed through the Everglades, down into Everglades National Park, and ultimately to the Florida Keys. And what we realized is by pulling the plug, by bridging Tamiami Trail, and these 12-foot bridges are now allowing water for the first time in almost 100 years entering Everglades National Park. And if you get a chance to drive it, take the scenic route to Naples or to Miami. And when you get on these 3.5 miles of bridges, look to the north and the south, and you can see the water moving so beautifully under these bridges and having an impact already. But this is also a testament that these aren't bridges to nowhere. These are bridges that are making sure that we're flowing water south and getting it to where it deserves. This generation understood the importance of that, and we made that possible, both parties coming together to make it happen. I want to go back to the East Coast, the C44 Reservoir along the St. Lucie estuary. This is an opportunity to take local basin runoff, store it here in this reservoir, as well as some lake water. This was an event just last year where they flipped the switch. And as you can see here, doesn't that look beautiful? All that water flowing out of those pipes coming into this C44 reservoir and the stormwater treatment area in Martin County to make sure that polluted water, which it is high in nutrients, that water can be cleansed and it can be ultimately stored and moved where it deserves. On the West Coast, this next, this photograph, I should say, is a picture that was taken just a couple months ago, where the state of Florida placed its full faith and credit, if you will, on making sure that the reservoir south of Lake Okeechobee, the Everglades Agricultural Area Reservoir, is constructed. We had a great event there highlighting the importance of that. I want to point out a gentleman that's standing. If you go right to left in that picture, the gentleman standing the second there from right to left, that's former Senate President Joe Negron, who used to represent a district in Martin County. And President Negron in 2016 realized we need to build this reservoir to reduce the discharges that were plaguing his constituency on the East Coast as well as the West Coast. Joe Negron made sure that reservoir passed the Florida legislature, put tremendous political capital on the line, got it done, made sure that occurred, and now Governor DeSantis has picked that up and has pledged to ensure it's built. We need this reservoir desperately to give a new outlet to allow for Lake Okeechobee water to be stored, cleaned, and sent south down to Everglades National Park, where it belongs. This was an important moment. They then yelled "fire in the hole" shortly thereafter to make sure that project began. And this video will show when that button was pressed, it was detonated and off it went. And sure enough, the construction continues. This is a 16,000 acre reservoir that will include roughly 6,500 acres of a stormwater treatment area, an additional kidney south of the lake, so that we can remove the nutrient pollution. But this reservoir, when you saw that Bill Clinton picture, this reservoir was called for almost 21 years ago now. Here we are finally hearing that great sound of fire in the hole, hit that button, and let's get that project moving. It was great to be out in the Everglades to see that moment. That's a critical project. Hopefully in the next 5 to 8 years, it'll be completed, but it's a massive undertaking, roughly $1.7 billion to build this reservoir. And again, that's a 50-50 cost share between Washington and the state of Florida. As we continue on, all of these projects are part of the plan to get to this beautiful picture, this graphic of a restored flow. This is the naturally occurring water flowing south. We'll never get back to the way it was, but with these projects and with innovation and ingenuity and a true entrepreneurial spirit, we can ensure that we have a restored flow, that we have these projects coming online. And when they do come online, we're going to see great benefit within the system. So the whole idea here is to ensure that the dollars are appropriated, the dollars are set aside to build these infrastructure projects. We're working hard in Washington during this infrastructure discussion, this debate in DC about an infrastructure package. We want to make sure that Everglades projects are part of that plan. These are shovel-worthy jobs, shovel-worthy projects that yield and create good paying jobs, and they're desperately needed to ensure that we keep as much water on the peninsula. And I might add too, as you talk about these issues, hydrating wetlands, you're able to sequester carbon. By sequestering carbon dioxide, you're also assisting with the issues relating to climate change. By keeping water on the Florida Peninsula here in the southern part, you're recharging the aquifer, the Biscayne aquifer, that is acting as a buffer for sea level rise. So when we talk about Everglades restoration, of course, it's about jobs, it's about infrastructure, it's about our economy, but it's also about other issues pertaining to sequestration of carbon, making sure that saltwater intrusion can be pushed back. These are needed. These projects are desperately needed. And working with my colleagues, both our board, our staff, our partners, and a very diverse group of individuals, we're making a difference, and we're going to do it. And I hope as these symposiums continue on, and there'll be a time here during this decade when we gather to update the curricula, to have different tools and opportunities for you as teachers to educate your children. You're going to be able to demonstrate that the success of the projects and the benefits that they're bringing, and let children see in real time the benefits that they're bringing and the importance that these projects have for restoring the Everglades. And what I'm, again, optimistic about is this generation is going to pass the torch to the next generation as restoration is completed, and it will be here soon. It's perpetual protection, and we need to ensure that we have a citizenry and a generation that stands up for what this generation fought for, and we'll do that together. So it's been a privilege to be here with you this afternoon to share some thoughts about the momentum that's with us. I'm happy to take any questions. I know, Jennifer, we have a video that we also want to show, so if that's appropriate now, we can do that and then answer some questions.
That's right, Eric. We actually caught you on camera with the hope and optimism that you continue to share with our team for the next generation. And so I just want to take a minute to show that short clip.
Years ago, an algal bloom on Florida Bay caused this organization to stand up and say, we're going to do something about it to ensure that their Everglades are restored, not just for today, but for tomorrow. As the lake rises, the only option today, and it's been the same option in 2016, 2018, now here in 2021, is to open the gates on the east and west coast of Florida. No community deserves what we smell here today and what we see here today. I'm very optimistic that this generation is going to solve and provide Everglades restoration.
We are too. We agree. We are optimistic with the work that our education team is doing, the support of our board of directors and donors. It's been quite amazing, the work that has been happening over the last couple of years. And before I share my slides again, we'd love to take some questions. And so I do have a few already for you, Eric. How can Floridians, as taxpayers of Everglades restoration, get more involved in understanding the progress of SERP projects?
Well, that's a fundamental question, and we've been working on that just in the last couple of years, because we found quickly that we needed to engage the public. And by doing so, they were letting their voices be heard to those decision makers, both in Tallahassee and in Washington. So those of you that are interested in learning more, I would encourage you to keep in touch with us on our website. There's an opportunity to sign up for our newsletters. We don't bombard you with a tremendous amount of information, but we do send out strategic updates where you can go to email. Say the governor, you can email your member of Congress, you can go on social media with some messaging on the importance of all this. So evergladesfoundation.org is a great resource. I'd encourage folks to maybe even text the word water to 52886. Just text that simple, that one word, water, to 52886. You'll get a link back from us. You can click on that link and get into that portion of our advocacy work. It's been very effective, but we need more and more people to engage. This is all about water. This commodity that we take for granted. There are states in our own country here today suffering from severe drought, yet we waste billions of gallons of fresh water each day. Restoration of the Everglades solves that problem. Managing Lake Okeechobee in a more effective and prudent way solves that problem. And the good news, that's occurring here as we meet this afternoon.
Thank you, Eric. Can you explain in more detail the role of the reservoirs?
Well, these reservoirs are to hold water. Again, back to the issue of wasting it as we dump it to the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. By building these above ground reservoirs, you're enabling not so much to store your way out of the rainy season, because you can't store your way out of a flood. When you have 50 to 60 inches of rain on average, and it quite frankly falls in a very contracted time frame, June to October, roughly our wet season. That's when we get predominantly the amount of water. But when we experience November to May, where we've had fires in the Everglades, where we've had cities like West Palm Beach worried about being cut off from their drinking water, where we've seen saltwater intrusion hit cities like West Hallandale and Hollywood. We need reservoirs to hold this fresh water, and by holding it, you're then sending it south during the dry season. You're sending water in the months of November, December, into February, down to May, where you're hydrating the ecosystem. I mentioned sequestering carbon within these wetlands, but you're also recharging the aquifer, which is the drinking water supply for now almost 9 million people. And it's for the economy of Florida. So these reservoirs, as you'll see them being built, they're vitally important to ensuring that we have that abundant supply for 12 months of the year, not just for 5 or 6.
That's right. And I love this next question. As a reminder to all of our participants, you can ask your question in the little button at the bottom of your screen that says Q&A. Any advice for students who want to pursue a career in environmental advocacy?
Well, that's a great question. We're involved with advocacy now each and every day. I didn't focus entirely into biology or my science courses, both in high school or college, I must admit, to a room full of teachers here virtually. But I was struck by my government teachers. The person I credit to engaging me in advocacy was my 11th grade teacher, government teacher at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, who talked to us about public policy, who talked specifically to us about the need for engaging in politics and the civil discourse. And by doing so, it enabled me to move into policy work and government work, and then to be now involved in this organization where this is an environmental and a conservation issue. Advocacy is vitally important, and to be able to maneuver through the advocacy and the halls of government to understand how to move through the bureaucracy. I'm sure it comes with experience, but there's also opportunities to live it and to understand it. Those students that might be interested in politics or policy, the environment is very much a subject that you can make an impact. So pay attention not only to your biology and other teachers, I would tell them, but also to your government and history teachers. And when they get to college, we have a great undergraduate program. Kids that want to study the science of the Everglades, those that go on to even further their education with a master's or potentially a PhD. The sky's the limit on what they can do, but we need to hook them. They need to catch that bug to understand that environmental advocacy is important. And by showing the Everglades or Puget Sound or the Great Lakes or Chesapeake Bay, it's a tangible way to get young people involved. I hope that it's a topic that catches on and they remain engaged.
Yeah, we do so as well. And we're seeing incredible momentum in our middle school and high school students and the work they're doing to leverage their voice to protect this ecosystem for years to come. It brings us up to that STEM question. As you mentioned, teachers play a pivotal role in sharing our environmental challenges and increasing knowledge and understanding to love and embrace this system and to protect it. And so in terms of technology, do you think there will be advances? Do we need advances? How much more work in terms of technology do you see coming down the pipeline?
I think this is the future of these issues, a lot of the issues that we experience here in the Everglades, but I think just environmentally or conservation issues in general need innovation. So those students that are interested in those fields, I believe that when you look at just water quality and the concerns of nutrient pollution, the entrepreneurial spirit needs to develop innovative technologies to solve these. Government can't solve them. We don't have enough land, or we don't have potentially enough money to solve some of these issues. But if we can get a technological breakthrough, listen, we've observed here just in the last couple of weeks the way man now is experiencing space. But we have great challenges within our water quality, within our waterways. And I think innovation, technology, those type of focuses and those breakthroughs are going to be part of the solution as we go forward. This organization fully supports the need for innovation. We encourage it, and we hope to see it come to fruition.
Thank you, Eric. We thank you for your time today, updating us on all these critical components that are happening within our state. Thank you for your continued leadership for our environment, for our state, and for continued hope for our next generation. The restoration of the Everglades will inspire students here in Florida and across the world. So we're excited about the next 5 years, mostly excited about the next year and all the steps we will take. So we look forward to talking to you more, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Jennifer. Again, I want to thank everyone who participated, not on this session here, but these last 7 sessions, and to the team that put this together. Even though it's virtual, they spent a lot of time preparing. Jennifer and her whole team. Jennifer, appreciate the leadership you bring to this issue, and I salute you.
Thank you, Eric. We'll continue with a few more slides just to wrap us up. Give me 1 second to share my screen once more. Oh, thank you for your patience. It has been quite an incredible 2 days. We cannot thank you enough for attending our 2-day 8-session event. We are really excited about this. This is our 4th annual. We are already planning for the 5th, so we cannot wait to hear your feedback. What other things you want to hear and learn about. We're excited to know more about how your classrooms look this year, how we're moving environmental education, how we're moving Everglades understanding throughout your classroom. So please, throughout the entire school year, stay connected. Visit evergladesliteracy.org. There are so many things happening on our website. And as you know, you can always stay connected and ask one of our teammates to just reach out and ask them any questions that you need throughout the entire year. We are always here for you. Again, all session recordings and resources will be available on the website under the Teacher Symposium tab. You will receive information about professional development points and a certificate of completion for attending this session. So check your emails. And exciting, every session during this symposium, we've had some giveaways. And thank you to the incredible partners who have helped and supported those giveaways throughout the 2 days of 8 sessions that we have had. Our last giveaway will be announced by email because it is our final giveaway, and it is actually a Build Your Field Trip. So whoever the winner is that has attended all 8 sessions will receive an opportunity to work with one of our team members to build a field trip for one of their classrooms. We are so excited about that. We can't wait to get you back out in the environment. We can't wait to see you face to face or virtually, because we will still be here online depending on how classrooms look for next year. We will review each session attendance and reach out to the winner via email. Again, please stay connected. Remember, on all social media channels, make sure that you tag us. Let us know how your school year is going. And we look forward to reaching out to you guys at the beginning of August as well. Remember, the motto this year is take your first step. Let's run that theme through our classrooms, through our schools, into our communities. Let's take action, let's change, and let's move and make sure we take all the resources and tools that we have learned over the next 2 days and the rest of the year, and take that next step. I also want to thank our staff, our incredible staff who spend many hours all year making sure that we have what our teachers, our classrooms, our community partners need to be successful in this journey with us. Thank you to our board of directors, our fearless leader, Eric Eikenberg, and to our incredible supporters and donors who have helped us to scale this program, not just for elementary, but to middle school, to high school, and to undergraduates. We cannot wait. We're so excited about the next year. Again, thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your summer. It will end soon, but we'll have an exciting year together. Thank you again.